What is up, everybody? My name is Rex Chris Peterson. This is streaming from Twitch right now. Feel free to come by sometime and say hi. Today, I'm uploading a video for YouTube of how you should be investing in Theros Beyond Death and how to not lose too much money in this hype with all these combos and with all these really exciting legends and lands and planeswalkers. This is my recommendations to you after playing Magic for more than 10 years. So first, if you don't know where to check for new spoilers, Mythix Spoiler is the premium website for those new cards getting revealed. Every second of every day, if there's a new card, Mythix Spoiler has it. As you can see, mythixspoiler.com, and then you can see the Mythics at the top. As you scroll down, if they run out of Mythics, it goes to rares. It then goes to common or uncommons and then commons, and these are all just monocolored cards. If you keep on scrolling down, now we have the multicolored cards. So once again, legendaries, rares, uncommons, and then we have artifacts, and then we have lands. So look at these really cool basic lands that are going to be in this set. I think those are really neat. I'm a fan of those art. We then have temples. They are back, and that is exciting for the set and for standard. As I'm scrolling to the top, a few things I want to instruct you on this is what you can do is you have a couple different options. You can click newest spoilers and you can see exactly what came out today. So Erebos' Intervention, Highest Wayfarer, and Tymaret, Chosen from Death, along with some others, all came out today. Numat the Nummy, if you were watching Twitch today, Tymaret, Chosen from Death, was revealed by him. So that's really cool. And some of these, you can see the sources that release these. You can see if they're legitimate. And that is really, really neat. Now, something else to know about Mythix Spoiler is you can click home on Mythix Spoiler and you can, so this takes us, so if you click home, it takes you to show you the newest set. But you can also click expansions and it should bring up every set from all time. You can scroll as much as you'd like. So these are sets that they have access to. Let's click Judgment. For no reason, and they have Judgment going on for us. So you can find Judgment cards. So if you just need a way to search up cards in a very friendly way, this is it, and this is my recommendation. And as far as Mythic Spoiler goes, this is the first place I go to see if there's new cards uploaded daily. Usually cards are revealed in the early afternoon is my understanding. So Eastern time, if you check at around noon, that's a really good place to start. And then as far as investments go, so this is where to find the new cards. As far as investments go, there is a website called mtgstocks.com. mtgstocks.com is an amazing resource to figure out what is going on in the world of Magic financially. So as you can see, this website has a ticker of constantly ticking cards. If you put your mouse on it, it'll stop for you. So you can read it, you can see the percentages. As you can see, there's quite a few cards that are up 20%, 20%, 17, 16, and it ticks downward. As we can see, Walking Ballista is up 15%, and that is probably because of the hype that we see with Heliod, Sun Crowned, and that infinite combo. So Walking Ballista is already way up. But this is where I go almost every day. I click interests. So if you click interest, you can see in the past 24 hours what has been hot. So you can see all these green cards. That means that those are some of the cards with the highest percentages of increases that they want to talk about. Pithing Needles up 45% from 10th edition. So pay attention to the edition because you don't want to buy Pithing Needles because you think they're spiking, and it's actually from a different edition. So Pithing Needle 10th edition is doing well. If you keep on scrolling down, you see Sliver Queen is also up 4.9% to 117.99. They pull these prices from TCG Player, so you guys can know that, and TCG Player is the next resource we're going to talk about. And as you can see, friends, I want to talk about something very serious right now. Pre-ordering Mythics and Rares from this set can be extremely costly, especially because you don't know what else is going to get released. So you can take to jump and you can try to pre-order cards, and you might lose a lot of money depending on what gets released in the rest of the set. So as you can see right here, Idyllic Tutor, a reprint, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. It's down 17%. Nadir Kraken, down 20%. Ots of Agonis, down 21%. And dude, Treacherous Blessing is down 88%. It was at $50 pre-order for some reason. I don't know if that's legitimate, but if someone bought this card at $50, they have lost 88% of their investment. So my first recommendation is maybe come here after you're done checking Mythic Spoiler, see what's going on, see what's hot, see if any other cards are going up, and maybe click it, figure out why. You know, usually there's conversation going on. So if we click Pithing Needle and we scroll down, we can see the average, the market foil, European average, and we can see that it has been doing well for a while and then plummeted, or I'm sorry, it plummeted a little bit. You know, it lost like $2, 33%, and then it skyrocketed all the way up past 750. If you want to see what's been going on in the past just few months, you can do this. And as you can see, it's been going up and down since September, November area. Since November, it's been, you know, going back and forth between $5 and about $8. If you scroll down, you can see all-time low, all-time high. You can see decks. You can see why this card is important and why it's been going up. You can also see the other prints: Saviors, Return to Ravnica, Masterpiece, and Magic 2010. And as you can see, Saviors of Kamigawa, Return to Ravnica, and Magic 2010, for some reason, are all cheaper than this Pithing Needle from 10th edition. So, interestingly enough, this is the most expensive edition, even more so than Saviors of Kamigawa. So, we keep on scrolling down. We can see weekly winners, Speculating in the Wake of Pioneer, Insider Pioneer Speculation, The Case Against Power. So some of these articles are going to outline or at least talk about why Pithing Needle is going up, or maybe why that card is being used. And I would definitely, if you're starting to get into finance, I would encourage going there. As we scroll back up, if you want to buy this card, you can see the cheapest place to buy it. So if you're in Europe, Card Market is for you. If you're in the US, you got Buy on Card Kingdom or TCG Player. And if you click it, it should take you right to their website. Excellent. And here we can see TCG Player being awesome and also providing their own data. Market price, buy list price, listed median. And we can keep on scrolling down. And we can see all of these editions. We can see moderately played, lightly played. You can check sellers. You can do all of that here. And that is an excellent resource available to you for free. Now, let's go back and let's talk about Theros. So now that you guys have waited, I'm going to talk specifically about some of these cards in Theros that I think I would pick up and I would leave, and others that I would leave alone. Now, as of right now, friends, Heliod is going to be extremely high price-wise because of everyone just being excited about this card, the combo, its relevance in other formats. I would stay away from buying or pre-ordering Heliods unless you need them for a deck that you already have. If you already have Walking Ballistas and the rest of a shell that you maybe want to build the deck around, go for it. If you don't, stay away from Heliod. I think that that card has a chance at coming down when people realize that it is going to get banned, or maybe Walking Ballista will get banned from older formats, then making this card cheaper. I think a card that I would definitely invest in is maybe some of these other cheaper gods. You know, Thassa, I think, has an amazing ETB re-triggering ability where you can exile some other cards. You can exile other target creatures and return them to the battlefield at the end of your turn. That's really good. This also manipulates the board field by paying 4, tap another target creature. That's a really good ability. So what I would say is this card I think is really, really good. I know Heliod is really overpriced right now. I would be pre-ordering Thassa because EDH players are going to be wanting her. Standard players, maybe even modern players or Pioneer. I think all these formats could potentially want a card that gets a free re-triggering ETB ability. As we scroll down, A lot of these cards, a lot of these rares, anything over, I'd say $7 to $10, I would avoid and let the price settle. Give it time, it might come down. Now, what I would say is that if you see uncommons or commons or maybe some really cheap rares that you like, go for it. I would go for it, and I would say pre-order if you see Banishing Light and you're like, okay, I want this card, just go ahead and pre-order it. Get a play set for $1. If you see Storm's Wrath and you're like, do you know what, this for $1, I want a play set of it, go for it. It's a rare. I don't know how much it is. I don't know how much it's pre-ordering at, but I would just recommend, staying away from expensive cards. Try to trade for them after the set comes out, after you're drafting, after you're in the format, after, the format's figured itself out. A lot of people spend a lot of money on cards that don't end up being good. So if you have the time to try to break the format, then yeah, go for it. Try to break the format with some of these cards, but I would test them first. Arena gets access to these cards first. So if you have Arena, play Arena for a week, and then if you really like the cards, then you can trust yourself and say, do you know what? I know this card is good. I don't mind spending, instead of $1, it's now $2. I don't mind spending the $2 because I now know my $2 is going to be good money. I personally have spent so much money on cards in the past where cards plummet, and I've also made money on cards where I invest in a card and it skyrockets. I have two stories. I one time pre-ordered Aurelia's Fury. If you don't know what Aurelia's Fury is, you should look it up. I pre-ordered Aurelia's Fury at $25 a piece, and I pre-ordered a playset. It was during the time of Primeval Titan, and I pre-ordered a playset, and I lost a lot of money very quickly because that card did not hold its $25 price tag. While I did do well with the card, I lost money, right? But I did, one time I pre-ordered Restoration Angel at $2.50 a piece, and I ordered 20 of them. And that card was quickly $15. I made money on that investment. I was like, do you know what? I think this card is really good. And I pre-ordered a bunch of them thinking, you know what? This interacts in Modern. This interacts in Legacy. This has iterations. This has very, very few cards have this kind of iteration where it's like a ETB Exile, flicker effect with a 3/4 body attached to it with flying. And I was like, do you know what? I want this card. So, I would stay away from cards that are tried and true and do similar abilities, and I would go towards new cards. Now, a new card I do want to talk about is this Akroan War card. I think this Akroan War card is very, very strong. I'm guessing it's relatively cheap right now because it looks inconspicuous. This is the kind of sleeper card that I would be terrified of. Akroan War, 4 mana. It's a 4 mana, and you get to steal a creature for as long as their Akroan War remains on the battlefield. So for 3 turns. 3 turns, you get to keep their Akroan War. On the first turn, gain control of target creature for as long as the Akroan War remains on the battlefield, so you get to steal it. Next ability. Until your next turn, creatures your opponent's control attack each combat if able. So your opponent is forced to attack into you, and you already stole one of their creatures. That's really, really good. And then the final triggered ability is each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So, let's say you steal a 5/5. Your opponent now has to attack into the 5/5, and when you attack back with it, at the beginning of the next turn, you have to give it back. And I do believe you have to give it back tapped, and if you do, then it kills itself. So, Akroan War, I think this card is very, very good, and this is the kind of card I'd be looking at. Inconspicuous, an aggressive red card. At the beginning of the format, this is the kind of bread and butter. As we keep on scrolling, we see lots of other cards in this set that this card reduces. This spell costs 1 less for each enchantment you cost. Enchantment. If you're building an enchantment deck, this card could be worth a shout. It gets reduced pretty quickly, and it can be cost for as little as 1 blue. Cards with mana reduction historically are very good. As we keep on scrolling down, we get to see the Mythics. Mythics are hard to judge. You don't know how a Mythic is going to stand up in a format, and honestly, it's always scary to invest in a Mythic if it's expensive. Now, I'm guessing the Mythics are usually overpriced at the beginning of a format, and they quickly plummet due to over-opening and not enough people wanting them. So what I would say is I usually stay away from the Mythics. I usually invest in Mythics only when I know I want them in my deck that I personally want. Now, a card I think that will prove to be an amazing card in this format, and this is my first, hot take. Kunaros, Hound of Aetherios. This card right here, right in the middle. I'm guessing this is a format staple for as long as it's in Standard. 3 mana, 3/3, Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink, and this shuts down Escape. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Yes, this stops it, right? And players can't cast spells from graveyard. So this is, if you read Escape, exile 6 other cards from your graveyard, you may cast this card from your graveyard. So this shuts down Escape, and this shuts down any triggered abilities, like Aetherios. So it actually stops Aetherios, I do believe. But this card, aggressively costed, 3 abilities, and it shuts down mid-range and late-game abilities that your opponent might be wanting to do. Now, the thing holding this card back price-wise is the legendary creature clause, because you can only have one on the field. But guess what? I think that's okay. I think this card's so good, you're going to want 3, if not 4 of them in your deck, and you're going to be expecting them to die, and you just have to be okay with that. As we also scroll down, Nyx Lotus is going to be an expensive card. So I don't know what this card's price is right now. We're actually going to check it right now. Nyx Lotus. If we go to tcgplayer.com and we type in Nyx Lotus, we're going to go on this adventure together. Nyx Lotus. We see that Nyx Lotus is $9.78. Right? $9.78. The listed median of the foil is $50. This card has yet to even be played with, and people know this card's going to be good. This card is going to be played in a lot of commander decks, maybe even every commander deck, because it produces at least 1 mana of a chosen color. So, Nyx Lotus enters the battlefield tap, so 4 mana, ETB tap. Choose a color at an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. This card has the potential of being extremely, extremely just lethal. You might go, mono green, and you could go green into green green into green green green, cast Nyx Lotus, untap on turn 5, and you have your lands and you have the Nyx Lotus, and you might have access to 10, 12 mana on as early as turn 5. So this is scary and this is backbreaking, and I see Nyx Lotus only going up. As soon as these cards are opened, like Nyx Lotus, these cards will see play in Eternal formats, and these cards will also see play by Commander players. The supply of Nyx Lotus will be eaten up immediately by Commander players. So if we look at a card like, I remember Paradox Engine. Paradox Engine, right here. I'm guessing this card is a lot like Paradox Engine. So when Paradox Engine came out, no one wanted it. And then people quickly realized that this card was good. And so people started buying it and, playing with it. And the card has always remained about this $5 price range. And, if you look at the foils, $20. It is 4 times its price in foil because of its need and desire in Commander. And, it ultimately got itself in trouble. Now, if we keep on going, Temple of Enlightenments are back. So if you have old temples, awesome, you can replay them. I think these are always safe. If you pick up temples, these will be played for its duration in Standard, and we already know they're good in Eternal formats. And Field of Ruin is back, so that is good. All right, so to quickly wrap up this video, what I want to tell you to do is make predictions. If you are a savvy investor or a new investor, what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to open a Excel sheet like this and start making predictions. So as you can see, I have a bunch of columns. I'm doing this from the beginning to make recommendations for you. I see a card. I see expectations, and I'm going to make it, when I set the expectation of if I think it's going to go up or down, I'm going to also say the date, and I'm going to check it exactly 1 month later, 3 months later, 6 months, and 1 year later. Start setting predictions for yourself and see where it comes out. I will say that by the next time I make a video, I'm going to say 10 Theros Beyond Death cards that I'm going to make predictions on, and we're going to see how accurate I was. And I'm going to be right on some of them probably, and I'm also going to be wrong on some of them, and that is okay because we don't know what the next year holds. What I will say is that by doing this, we can start to see trends, and we can start to become more savvy on how we should spend our Magic dollars, because not all of us have endless amounts of money to spend on Magic, so we have to spend it pretty intelligently. But by doing this, by making predictions and starting to see trends, when we do spend our dollars, we will know that they're not spent frivolously, and we will be able to then spend more money on more cards, because the cards that maybe when we go to sell them, they're now worth more money rather than only being worth a couple bucks when we spent $25 in the pre-order season for them, like I have in the past. So I am making this video for you guys as a way to begin to understand how to spend your dollars smart and intelligently so you don't waste money on Magic, especially during this pre-season period where prices are just all over the place. Remember that Mtg Stocks, there was a card down 88%. If that was a legit price, that is crazy. You lost an 88% investment on a card. That's a lot. So let's not do that. Next video you see, I'm going to have 10 predictions, and we're going to see how correct they are in 1 year's time. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I hope that this video was at least helpful. Maybe you learned some new things about some old websites, and maybe you learned some new websites. But anyways, guys, until next time, thank you so much. Click that subscribe button or that follow button, or come hang out with me on Twitch. I'd love to see you. All right, bye.